Hello and welcome to another episode of GoodCast. It's a show where we take a closer look at the story behind the store and highlight successes made possible thanks to the generous donations from everyday people. I'm your host Justin, and I'd like to wish you a preemptive Happy Labor Day. If you're like me, you probably have no idea what Labor Day is about. I know it sounds pretty self-explanatory, but it's got its own history to it and everything. And while the origins of Labor Day specifically are a little blurry, the holiday as we know it was written into law on June 28, 1894 by President Grover Cleveland as a celebration of American workers' accomplishments and workers' rights. That brings us to the topic of today's episode. By now, hopefully you're aware of our mission to create lives of independence and build a stronger local community. That mission in large part is made possible by the efforts of our workforce development programs, where individuals can receive job training, placement services, and more. And for many of Goodwill's clients, that journey begins at our Job Resource Center. So today, we're going to give you a first-hand account of what it's like to go through our intake process, program placement, and finally, offer some tips and tricks to building your resume. I'll say it again at the end of the episode, but if you're already interested in going through our job placement services, just go to goodwillnorthcentraltexas.org/JRC and get started today. Without further ado, let's get to our interview with Lisa Lewis, an intake specialist at our campus location.
Hi, my name is Lisa Lewis. I have been here 4 years, and after my second year, I became lead intake.
Okay, that's awesome. Tell me a little bit about what your job duties are. What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
We, as an intake specialist, as people walk in or their appointments, we get them real comfortable to let them know that we can help them. Whatever their barriers are, maybe they don't have transportation, maybe they don't have daycare backgrounds.
How do people hear about the Job Resource Centers?
A lot of them come from some of our homeless shelters. Some of them come from transitional housing. It's word of mouth a lot. Like me personally, I was at a halfway house, and that's how I heard of Goodwill. Okay. And how good they are. We assess them. We let them, I try to get as much information out of them as possible so we can help them the very best we can.
So let's do a little bit of, pretending. Okay. Say I am a client. My friend went through the Job Resource Center, told me about it. I'm interested. I show up, come in through the front door. What happens next?
I ask them, of course, I introduce myself, and I ask them, kind of what their needs are. What are you looking for? Find out their situation, their living situation, because in one of our programs, you have to be at risk of homelessness or homeless. And of course, we make sure they have proper IDs because that makes them employment ready. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I just start asking questions, hey, do you have transportation? Do you have a criminal background? How long has it been since you worked? What kind of barriers do you have?
Are intake specialists the ones who ultimately make the call which program the client will be placed into?
Yes, we are the first point of contact. We're the ones that after we find out all kinds of different situations for our different programs, OA, Opportunity Accelerator, our Vet Worthy programs, we determine, what's going to be the best program for them. Because that's what we want. We want the best for them. We don't want to just put them in a job, or we just don't want to take their information. We want something that they can take forward and use it, not just for 2 weeks, but maybe they can make a career out of it.
All right. So you know a little bit about everything that goes on here then, pretty much.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Is there a particular program or type of story that speaks to you specifically?
Well, sometimes I use my own success story. Because there's a lot, because I've been in their shoes. I've been in that chair across the desk looking at the intake specialist going, you have no idea what I've been through. Mm-hmm. And I truly understand that, and I let them tell their story, and I let them know a little bit about mine, and you can see them totally relax and at ease and know that we can help them. And they because they don't. When you come out of a situation from being homeless or kicked out, you feel like you're not going anywhere. People don't have transportation. They don't have anything. Everything's been taken away, and it's up to us to help them, and it's a passion. I worked in the corporate world for years and don't feel like I do now when I can help a guy. In fact, we had a client this morning that was just overwhelmed with what we can do for him. And it's a good feeling.
That's one of the things that I've heard, kind of makes us stand out a bit more from like other organizations in our area, is that sort of one-on-one, that personal connection with clients. Mm-hmm. Is that what you think is the biggest takeaway that people have, or is it something else, like quality of service?
Well, I think it's all around.
Okay.
Because, we have different parts of all this, but at Goodwill, we're very well-rounded, and I hear good things about it. I mean, I'm a product.
So what does your team look like at the Job Resource Center, or like any of our Job Resource Centers?
We all have an intake specialist. Mm-hmm. That is your first point of contact. Once we get done with that and do all of our paperwork, then we have what's called an employment specialist. They, in turn, will meet with the contact either verbally or virtually. Sometimes we do it, considering with COVID and stuff, or we do an appointment and we do it one-on-one. And then our employment specialist helps them with some more get-ready skills, employment skills. Okay. We assist them with their resume and, find out a little bit more. And then once they've completed all of that, then they'll meet with their job placement specialist. And that's the one that by the time they've gone through everybody, we pretty much know where we need to send these people in a direction to better themselves or, move on where they need to be met.
Once clients have completed their intake process and are placed into the appropriate program, they're paired with employment specialists who work with them to develop job skills and find work that meets their needs. That training can cover anything from interview prep to digital skills training. We've covered that process more in depth in our Relaunch and Goodwill Works episodes. Employment specialists, in turn, work with business developers who build ties with employers in our community to create even more leads. That enables us to host job fairs, partner with organizations like Indeed, and provide better services overall. And you've been a part of like the mobile crews that will go out to, like True Workplace specifically, right?
Yes.
What is that experience like?
That is a little bit different, and their needs are a little bit deeper. We, take everything we need and we jump in our cars and go take care of them.
Mm-hmm. What kind of expectations do you set either for yourself or for the client when you are, mobilized compared to like the office setting?
Mine are the same. I truly want them to feel like they can, they're moving forward, they can advance. You can tell it in their body language how they feel about being helped, or, I've had a lot of people tell me, I didn't know anything about it. I thought, Goodwill was nothing but clothes. And I said, no, we take clothes and clients.
Right. Right. That's a good way. It's like a little catchphrase.
Well, that's what I had to tell my mother when my mother, I'll tell you a little short story. My mother, when I got hired at Goodwill, my mom goes, oh my gosh, Lisa, don't tell me you're going to sort clothes all day. And I said, no, Mom. I said, you wouldn't believe what Goodwill does. And she goes, what? And I said, well, we take clothes and clients. And she says, clients? And I said, yeah. I said, we help the homeless and we help people that, have been in situations like me. She goes, well, that is really great, because a lot of people haven't heard it. Mm-hmm. They do. They think all we are is a donation, so,
Right. So what is it that you like about your job?
To feel good. The knowing that I have helped somebody that is truly in need. I don't know. It's just a really feel good. I mean, I don't want a pat on the back. I like that smile that somebody gets, mm-hmm. or that thank you, or that firm handshake. Now we can't, but I used to get hugs. I've had people cry, because they just really felt like nobody was out there to help them. And Goodwill does. Mm. They really, truly do. We believe in our people and we believe in our product. And I think we do it well. Mm-hmm.
I want to talk a little bit about how y'all's services had to change a little bit throughout COVID. So I know especially early days, pretty much everything we did was virtual, mm-hmm. correct? So how did you manage that?
Well, that was a learning, because there was no handbook to COVID. Mm-hmm. So we took everything that we have here, our packets, our paperwork and everything, cell phones, computers, and we made sure we were all well, and we did everything by phone. Cell phones, computers, emails. It was a little tough getting going because, let's face it, when you get a cell phone and you don't know the number at the end, you're not going to answer it.
Right. I have a little bit of phone anxiety sometimes. Just
well, and that's where I'll be honest, I had to get clever. So what I did was I took a copy of my business card and my badge, and I would send that as a text on my phone.
Oh, okay.
And then that way they were comfortable and they were okay with it. But everything was on the phone virtually. It wasn't as quick of an intake as we like.
Right.
But as it went, we all got very, very well at it. We worked as a team. We had Zoom meetings. We still, worked real well together. As things have opened up, we're really on track to end the year very, very successfully, I think. Right. Hit our goals, but like I said, numbers aren't my goal. I mean, I like the people to be happy and come back and tell good things about us.
And when it comes to like program referrals specifically, was that made any more difficult by going virtual? Because it's like, you can't walk someone down the hall to, OA or like the Digital Career Center. So how did that work?
A lot of times when we would get I would talk to a client and they say, oh, I'm interested in the CDL program or I'm interested in our digital skills. I just would tell them, I'd say, hey, let me send all your information to the proper people. And then we would email the different programs and say, hey, I just did an enrollment on a client. He's interested in our services. Can you reach out? So that's how we kind of did that. Okay. Virtual. We still did virtual. We still did a lot of emails and stuff. But everybody was kept in the loop because, like I said, we had Zoom meetings all the time and kept up with everybody's ideas on what works better for them. But it was an experience.
What would you like to see for your program or for Goodwill in general within the next 5-10 years?
I'll probably still be here, but I want to see it grow. I was able to advance and become lead. I would like to take the intake part of it, because I keep learning more and more and more, and I just want to make it better. I'll probably retire here.
I know, that's one of the wild things. So we have so many people who have been here for 10, 15, 20 plus years just because they love the organization and the mission so much.
The mission's incredible.
So if you had one piece of advice for job seekers or anybody who was thinking about going through any of our programs, what would that be?
Patience. Believe in yourself. Because we all make choices. Sometimes that choice is what got us into trouble, that gets us in Goodwill, and try to get them back on the right track because there is a future. You just have to want it, and that's what I really push for, is to people that want to better themselves. They want to change their lives. Where you have to completely move from a different city, but that's I said, my passion is just that you can see the look on their face. Like this morning, this guy was just elated with all of us. He had no idea.
So come see Lisa.
Yeah, well, that's what everybody says. Because I like to be able to help. I want everybody to have the answers. I want them to be where they are. And I treat the clients the same way. They have any kind of questions, anything, because they're scared. They don't know the questions to ask. Right. They don't know the direction they need. I can ask them questions. What do you want to do? Well, I don't know what's out there. Well, so that's when you get deeper into it is, so what have you done in the past? And maybe you want to make a career change. And then you explain that we have all these other classes that can possibly help you, that can get you back up on your feet and moving forward. So
I think that's why we wanted to cover y'all's department, your role specifically, is because y'all do so much. It's just the first step towards other success stories.
Oh yeah, and we do. I honestly make a mental note from time to time. This is going to be my success story. Because we write those stories, and but yeah, success. It's what it is. Something it's all about.
So now that you've gotten a first-hand look at how our job resource centers work, let's take a second to go over the process for updating your resume with Goodwill. A lot of this information can easily be found in our blogs as well if you ever need a refresher. I'll make sure to include a link in the episode description. The first step involves creating a professional-sounding email. This could include a combination of your first and last name followed by initials or numbers. It also helps to have an email that comes from a recognizable source like Gmail or Yahoo. Goodwill's digital skills trainers can help with that, as well as provide lessons in internet basics, Windows operating system, and more. Once that step is complete, employment specialists can help clients create accounts on reputable job search engines through partnerships with Indeed, ZipRecruiter, CareerBuilder, or Monster. This is where specialist knowledge of keywords and search skills come into play. Clients and Goodwill staff create a streamlined resume based on relevant work experience and knowledge. A less cluttered resume is easier for employers to process. Once uploaded, a copy of that information is saved onto the user's profile for future applications. From here, it's only a matter of time before Goodwill's Job Resource Center can find the perfect job for its clients through the search engines listed before or through community partnerships. For even more information about applying for jobs on Indeed specifically, I'd highly recommend checking out that blog I mentioned. It includes a step-by-step guide on how to use their website and a list of resources that clients can receive from Goodwill staff, including skills-based assessments, hiring events, and more. And there you have it, some behind-the-scenes, practical information, and resources for anyone seeking employment. I want to thank Lisa for speaking with me this episode, and once again, I'd like to wish you all a happy Labor Day. Thanks for listening. You have been listening to GoodCast, a podcast produced by Goodwill North Central Texas. To stay up to date on all things Goodwill NCT, be sure to check out our social media and sign up for our newsletter. And if you have a second, we'd appreciate it if you could share the show with a friend or leave us a review on iTunes. It is the fastest way to help the show grow. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find podcasts.